Jesse Binnall, welcome to our show. Thank you so much for joining us. The recent ruling by Judge Arthur Engoron accusing Donald Trump and his company of committing fraud while building his real estate empire. Could you provide some insights into the key arguments made by the New York Attorney General Letitia James in this case?
Well, I mean, it's a very sad day, again, in America, that we're having to look at a ruling like this that, quite frankly, continues to target President Trump based on his politics and rather on the law. The Attorney General has made the claim that there was fraud involved in President Trump's real estate dealings without any basis in law or in fact. It's so incredible that even the judge found that Mar-a-Lago, a property that's probably worth close to $1 billion, if you look at some experts, was only worth about $18 million, and somehow that was a basis for fraud. It shows a lack of understanding of the law, and it's again this politicalization of our legal system that is tearing at the very threads of our constitutional system of government in this country.
If there is weight to that argument, do you expect Trump's legal team to appeal on those grounds? Would another judge rule differently on this, do you think?
Oh, I think there will absolutely be appeals in this case. I mean, there are two levels of appeals that this can go to just in the state court in New York alone. And that's the first level is called the appellate division of the New York Supreme Court. And then the next level above that is the Court of Appeals. And so really what we're going to see is the New York justice system still sufficiently impartial that there are judges that will apply the law rather than just hop on the bandwagon that we see too often right now in places like New York and Washington, D.C. of get Trump.
And you mentioned that there were varying valuations for some of the properties, including Mar-a-Lago. How is it, what justification has Letitia James used to decide which valuation to use, and how does that relate to the fraud charges? Well, I mean, she has looked at various different models to try to gauge what the appropriate value for these properties are, and then try to claim that somehow he lied to creditors. And I think it's important to remember that no creditor missed a payment, that none of these creditors were harmed, that there were statements in the all the financial disclosures saying that essentially they're estimates and they shouldn't be relied upon, and reliance is a key part of fraud. And there's a reason that you do that in property, because property, and the law recognizes this, property by its very nature is unique. The value of a property changes at any point because in order to know what the value is, you have to find a willing buyer and a willing seller. So to be able to determine what that is can fluctuate widely, especially when you're looking at, for instance, Mar-a-Lago, one of the most unique pieces of property in the entire world. While Letitia James may be arguing that, you have to remember this is someone that ran for office saying that she was going to get Donald Trump, that this is a mob rule type situation in our judiciary, and both by the prosecutor and then unfortunately by the judge as well. And so those trying to say, for instance, that Mar-a-Lago is worth between $18 and $26 million by anyone who knows Florida real estate is just laughable. I saw somebody say, oh, it's worth $18 million. Can I have 10 of them? Because there is no universe in which Mar-a-Lago is worth $18 to $26 million. There's a clump of trees down the road from Mar-a-Lago that's undeveloped, that's on a much smaller parcel of land that's worth, I think, currently in the market for $150 million. If they tried to make that argument in a judicial system that wasn't controlled by the left wing, they would be laughed out of court. Unfortunately, they're making that argument in a judicial system that is very much focused on getting Donald Trump, not on doing justice. Jesse Binnall, thank you so much. Great to hear your thoughts on this.
Thank you so much for having me.